excited to welcome Natalie Moon to our show. She's coming to us from Vancouver. She's an extraordinary television, film, classically trained actress as well. And we're excited to have her here. And here she is. She's got so many incredible things to tell us about. One involves Superman and Lois as well. Natalie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
We welcome all our viewers. This is your host, Jim Masters. This is our entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series, bringing back that lost art of conversation. If you want to comment during the show, feel free to do that as well. So how are things in beautiful Vancouver today, Natalie?
Sunny but chilly.
Winter is on its way, right?
Yes.
You're very busy. When we were preparing for the show, I was doing all the research and reviewing everything, and I noticed all of the incredible projects you've had an opportunity to work in. And you've got a lot of balls you're juggling up in the air in terms of projects, huh? Congratulations.
Yeah. It's been pretty good. It's been pretty busy, yeah.
Yeah. So before we talk about Superman and Lois, which is on, of course, that hit CW series, there's so many other recognizable shows and projects you've been a part of. When you look back, because you're a classically trained actress, what are some of those things that inspired you, sort of pointed you in the direction of wanting to even go into the world of performance and the arts and acting?
I think I've always wanted to be an actor since I was really tiny, like 5 years old. And when I was 8 years old, I was given the lead in a musical at my school. And I think it was kind of at that point that I got the bug, as it were. I loved doing it. I loved singing. I loved performing. I always wanted to be the center of attention when I was a kid. And I made little sort of radio shows and recorded them on cassette tape.
Me too. I still have them.
My brother was very much not in the arts. He was very computer driven, even from 8 years old, taking apart computers and putting them back together. So he wouldn't join me in my show. So I had to just make all the voices and all the characters myself. So it was basically just me with myself. But I love doing all those kind of things, creating plays with my friends and things like that. So it's always been something I wanted to do. And then, when I was 8 and I got that musical, I was like, oh, wow, this is a really cool feeling that I don't want to lose.
Right, exactly. Now, you are a bidialectal actor. Tell us what that is for anybody who's not sure. Classically trained at the Oxford School of Drama in England.
Yeah, bidialectal basically means that you can switch between two accents and essentially live in both whenever you want to. So for me, I often audition in American accent as well. My natural accent's British, but I've been sort of in North America for so long that now it's interchangeable, which is what that means, which can be very helpful, obviously, with roles and lots of other accents that I enjoy doing as well. So that's what it means. And I know it does sound a very, technical term, but...
Isn't it? Right? Exactly.
That's what it is.
What part of England did you grow up in?
Well, I was born in the north of England, so I used to talk like this, right? I was born in Lancashire, so I had a very different accent when I was little.
We have family that's hails from Yorkshire.
Okay, yeah, right next door.
Yeah.
But I moved down south when I was 3 years old, so I grew up in the south of England near Brighton, which is where my accent is from.
So what would you say if you look back with all the training and everything? Did you have a vision as far as what kind of actress, what kind of roles, dream roles, what kind of genre of material you wanted to embark in? Did you have your sights set on film and television and Hollywood and all, or did you want to be a stage actress first? How did it work for you, Natalie?
Funnily enough, when I was younger, my mother wanted me to be an opera singer. Because I was doing operas when I was younger, and I was part of an opera, like youth opera group, and we performed lots of new works all over Europe and England and Scotland. And so it was very much singing as well, which was why when I went to the Bretton Hall Conservatoire for the Arts, I did music and theatre, because I was still kind of really enjoyed singing and didn't want to lose it. But there was a lot more stage there and sort of creating your own work, devising things. And then when I went to the Oxford School of Drama for the postgraduate course, again, it was very stage related. There was singing, but it wasn't a musical theatre course. It was professional acting. So it was very stage driven, and I did fall in love with the stage. I've always loved Shakespeare, reading Shakespeare when I was very tiny. And then I made the move to Vancouver because of a personal reason. And then when I got here, like the theatre scene certainly isn't as big, obviously, as London and England. And it just seemed sort of the right step to go into the film and television world. And I've always loved sci-fi ever since I was small, Star Trek specifically. Vancouver was the perfect town to sort of enter into, and they had so much sci-fi happening that it just seemed like a natural step. But I do still do theatre here when I can. But yeah, it's been busy. So
That's fantastic. That is great. So you're loving Vancouver, and it's bringing you to Los Angeles too, right? You end up going into Hollywood and filming. I know there's so much production that's happening up in Vancouver, but do you find yourself going into LA as well for projects?
I haven't yet, but that is the plan on the next little while. It seems that like all the projects that I'm interested in, and the sci-fi specifically, end up in Vancouver anyway. So auditioning through LA, you end up here anyway. So at the moment, I'm fine here for the time being. But I definitely, my plan is, of course, to go and get my green card and really figure out stuff on that side as well. I think when you're younger, it's always the Hollywood dream.
The Hollywood dream, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not interested in the fame and fortune. The real
You sure about the fortune part?
Well, the money.
Maybe a little of that would be.
But the real reason for me would be to have more autonomy in my projects that I can choose, and being able to say, I like the sound of this character, and I really want to discover her more, and being given a bit more choice that way, rather than feeling a bit like it is sort of, paying the bills. And the projects that I've done, I've been super lucky, and I've enjoyed every single one, and they've been with some incredible directors. And but some more indie films and features and things like that I would be very interested in.
They shoot a lot of Lifetime type movies, Hallmark Channel movies and things in that area. Is that something that and there's a tremendous loyal following for those channels, especially now they're going into all those Christmas movies. And have you tapped into that, or is that something that you would love to be a part of as well?
I have done a few Hallmark projects. Honestly, it's just so enjoyable, because generally the hallmarks are with Vancouver's a very small town in regards to acting and the amount of actors here. So you end up just working with your friends, which ends up being, so much fun. And usually those kind of projects are quite light in the content. So it's a nice, easy break from some of the more heavy hitting stuff. And like I said, I get to work with my friends all the time, and it's really nice. And I think just as Hallmark goes, it's a lovely sort of break from reality, which sometimes we all need.
Yes, we do. We do in America. Yes, we do. Bring on the TV and the movies and the music and the ice cream cones.
Yes, yeah.
You, what a segue. I was going to say some of the other recent works include Apple TV's hit show Invasion. Tell us about being involved in that project.
Yeah, that was it was interesting because it was a British role again. It had I think it's handy to have the bidialectal option because some of those roles come up. The show that season hasn't aired yet, so I'm not really allowed to say anything about it as of yet. But it was very fun, and the director he's so specific, and he really has his own vision, and that's why the show is just so well done and so popular, because he is such a brilliant showrunner.
I see a little mini, like a vocal booth next to the left of you. Do you do voiceover work or narration and different things in that little? That's a cool area. A lot of people take their walk-in closet and they turn it into their voiceover booth. You got that nice little thing there on the left. That's cool.
Yeah, I used to have, yeah, exactly. My closet was for a while was my studio, but I needed that for my clothes and my shoes, mostly my shoes. So I got this I got this whole thing, and it's really useful. And yeah, I do voiceover. Again, the British accent is quite, requested in the voice world, especially for commercials and things like that. So yeah, I do dabble in that stuff as well.
What are some of the accents that you're able to do?
I'm lucky enough that I can break down most accents. There are some accents, obviously, that I wouldn't do. I would choose not to do. But they're generally most of the British Isles, Southern US, Australian. Yeah, I've been coaching Scottish. I coached John Voight on an Irish accent when he was here. There was a Irish thug movie, so that was really fun. Cockney when Kristen Chenoweth was in Schmigadoon. So quite a lot.
Can we hear a slight taste of the Southern US?
The Southern, I guess it depends on like the area that you want, but yeah, I learned this when I was in school a long time ago, and I really love that accent. I know that in the voice world, you say that accents, the emotion is carried in the vowels and the intellect is carried in the consonants. At least that's what they say. And I just know that the honesty and the emotion and the depth of heart from the Southern US comes through in their accent, and I love it.
That is awesome. We always find it really so fascinating when singers, especially, come over, and actors too, and actresses come over from the UK, from Ireland, where there is that accent, and I always love the British accents, all the UK, Ireland, and we have some relatives that have it too, pretty thick, and it's just a great sound. It's just always a sound I've always admired. It's amazing that when you hear certain people sing, you think they're from here, from America, maybe
Yeah.
even Canada. And then they speak in an interview and there's this whole thick, a Liverpool accent or something. And you're like,
Mhm.
huh? I thought they were an American band or group or whatever. It's amazing how the accent, when oftentimes singing, just evaporates.
I think that has something again to do with the vowel sounds. In America, the vowel sounds are much more elongated and emphasized quite often than they are in the UK or other places. So when we're shortening and clipping our vowels, it's hard to do that if the length of a note that you're singing is long, and therefore that sound will then kind of automatically sound American without even really meaning to. But I'm also sure that, like, growing up, we were listening to tons and tons of American music. So I think it's also to do with that. And I think you'll notice too that it's more people from London and the South that tend to do that. The Northern accents sometimes can stay a bit more because they're a bit stronger and they have very specific sounds.
They do, exactly. It's amazing. You can hear the different sounds, just even within the Beatles themselves when they talk. Just the different twists to
I have
to
my
the.
t-shirt, my Abbey Road t-shirt on.
Well, you do see. I must be intuitive tonight.
You must be.
I must be. That is really, really. Have you been there?
Yes, I have. Yeah. My degree was at Bretton Hall, which was in Yorkshire, but obviously right next door. So yes, I would go there, and the nightlife was pretty amazing when I was at university, I have to say.
The Masters family on my father's side, they hail from Yorkshire, and
Mm.
then the ones that came over to America settled in New York City, and then spread out from there. And then my mother's side, there's also English, and my father's side is English and Irish. We've a lot of English, Irish, Swedish, French within us, and but a lot of the English. I'm the fifth James, the whole thing.
Right, right, yeah.
I was going to say, everybody always says, Jim, you would do so well if you moved to England or Ireland. They would just absorb you. I'm like, really? Been to, but yeah. So when you first went to Vancouver, was there culture shock? Or did you immediately adapt? Because now
Uh,
you're on the sort of western coast of North America.
yeah, I think in regards to the industry, it's quite different here. It kind of feels in London a little bit more open sometimes. The casting directors are happy for you to send, not all the time, you're not bugging them, of course, but if you see a project that you think you suit, or you want to let them know that you've been in North America and you're back for a while, they're open to receiving things. Whereas here it's kind of a different beast, and it's done slightly differently. And when I first came, I was like, oh, here, this is me, I'm blah, blah, blah. And then I got 0 responses except for one who was like, you need an agent to talk to us. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I did that, and the casting directors here are absolutely lovely. I think they're just incredibly busy, and I'm sure the London ones are too, but it took a while to have a relationship with them. But once they get to know you and they're supportive and they're in your corner, it's fantastic. But in that way, it was quite different. And also the amount of theatre that you have access to, even just going to shows, like above every pub is a little theatre in London. So that was, and here there's really only a couple of big theatre companies, and then it's all very indie stuff that sort of your friends are putting on, or friends of friends and things like that. So that was very different as well.
Another thing too, the CBS series, The Hunting Party as well, on CBS. Tell us about that. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know how much of this I can release. I just in the show
Oh,
I
we won't tell. It's just us and a cup of coffee. We won't tell anybody. Or a spot of tea. Spot of tea.
a spot of tea.
It's just us. No,
I
but it is exciting, and hey, CBS is considered the Tiffany network. That's a phrase that they've always had for CBS. So you've made it to the Tiffany network. Very cool.
they were definitely really again, they have a vision and they have money, and it's going to be a really great project. It's a very different kind of role to a lot of the things I play. I play very sort of very intellectual, very sophisticated women quite often. And although my character is, I would say a sophisticated woman, she's going through a very traumatic emotional time, and it was a victim role that I hadn't really played yet. So that will be fun and interesting when it does come out.
That is really, really cool. We're going to keep an eye. We'll keep an eye on CBS. Your logo is the eye. We're going to keep an eye on CBS and look for The Hunting Party as well. And also season 2 of CBC in Canada's most watched new television drama, Allegiance.
Mm-hmm.
That is really cool. And both your roles in Allegiance and The Hunting Party are emotionally demanding victim roles, you say, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
What's it like not only being a part of those, but also taking on very, roles that can be very emotionally draining? How do you work through that, prepare for that, and how do you release it, when you walk off set and not take it home?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's I definitely use my life experience in my work. I think you don't have to. I know there's lots of different approaches, but I think if you really, really want to connect with something and be as much a part of that person's life as can be, using your own experiences that are somewhat similar can be very helpful. And I have actually been through something fairly traumatic in my life, in Vancouver, incidentally. So I don't necessarily take my brain and put myself back in that moment in the memories, because then that's when you can get stuck, and that's when it's hard to leave it behind. But my body recognizes how it feels to go through the same kind of trauma that my characters are going through. So it's almost like my sensory system remembers what this would be like. So for me, it's very much in my body and my breathing. And then I'm using what the character's going through to ground myself in the moment. And then I think that in that way, I can leave it behind, because I leave the character behind for the day, as opposed to having, if I'm right in my memories, then I think it's more difficult to leave behind.
How much of you is in the characters? I mean, there's always little elements of our own experiences and our own lives that we put into our work, especially in the creative endeavors. For you, how much of Natalie is in the roles? And is there a role you've played so far, whether it is television, film, what have you, that is the closest to Natalie, the closest to who you are so far? Or has that role not come yet?
I would say yes. I use an awful lot of myself in my work, and I think it's important to remember that just because in today you're not going through what this character's been through, or you have something similar but it's not quite the same, using your own life, I think, colors the character. And quite often you can look and be like, oh, I have facets of my personality that are like this person, and then you're kind of expanding on that, which I've done a lot. I find bits of myself are in all characters. When I was on The Flash, my character is very literal and doesn't really understand sarcasm, and was described as taking a calculus textbook to bed with her. I would like to think that I have a little bit more social skill than her, but at the same time, I am one of those people that, at trivia night or something, like, can't answer any questions that are being asked, but I have so much useless other information that I can spout off about. And I've been in situations where I feel like I am the person with the most experience or expertise in a certain thing. So then I'm like, oh, so that's like her. So I'll take little sections of myself. And I think that Meryl Streep said that that's the way to act. So I'm just going to listen to her.
That's a good one to follow. Yes, she is an icon. When you've completed a project, whether it is a guest starring role, or it's a one-off, or maybe it is a couple of particular episodes, or maybe it's a full series. When that particular role is done for you, do you watch your material, or do you detach and move to the next? I know there's some performers, actors, actresses, they won't watch themselves on TV when it comes on. They won't see themselves in the movie theater, or they just won't watch their stuff. They detach, go to the next thing. Mm-hmm. I know with me, with my television work and any film work or anything I've done, even radio, whatever, I do look at it. I do watch it. I do listen to it, mainly because I want to see how I can improve, how I can tweak things, or maybe really enjoy what people have said was really good, but at the time I was doing it, I didn't think it was. Sometimes you need that outside, because inside you're thinking, I could have done better, or that wasn't so great. But everybody else around you is saying it's terrific. And then when you detach from the emotion of it and you look at it, you say, you know what, now that I'm detached from the actual emotion, just coming off whatever, doing it, and things are now lowered, um, you are more appreciative of the work. Do you look at your material, or do you cut and run?
I do look at it, and I think I've since arriving in Vancouver, I've been doing a lot of coaching and mentoring of young actors who are trying to get into the industry as well. And I feel like I would be a huge hypocrite if I didn't watch my stuff, because I'm always telling them that they have to watch, they have to look at themselves, see what works, see what doesn't. Because like you said, in the moment, something can feel great, and then you watch it back and you're like, oh no, or vice versa. It felt awful, you don't remember anything, and then those can be the best things. But especially with the industry moving away from being in person in audition rooms for quite some time now, and I'm thinking it's coming back a little bit here in Vancouver, but it's really important to be able to kind of look at yourself like that, because before you go in the audition room, do the audition, casting would give you their adjustments, which is what you want, and then you would, do, producer director would tell you what their vision was, you do it again, and then you nail it or not. And then, but now with self-tapes, like a lot of bigger roles, you don't even see casting for. It's all on tape, and then it's either in-person auditions for callbacks, or you just book straight from your first tape. So you really have to be able to look at yourself introspectively and be like, oh, that doesn't look good, or that does look good. And lots of my younger students are like, but I don't want to look at myself. And I tell them that tough. You kind of have to. So, and I know as well, in regards to looking at the final project as opposed to auditions, it's very much the production's decision. So for me, I'm not really looking at my performance anymore. I'm looking at the show as a whole. I'm looking at the film as a whole, because they're painting with their brush now. I've done my part, and then it's up to them. So perhaps they don't use the take that I would have chosen. Perhaps as an actor, I wanted more emotion, whatever it is. And they chose something else. Whatever it is, I think it's important to kind of take a step back. And I feel like it's better to leave your ego behind and look at it as a project and appreciate it that way, than just beating yourself up about your performance. At least that's what I think.
I agree. Yeah, to just take that time to not be so hard on yourself, and to not. I mean, you probably, I'm sure, demand excellence, right? You are always striving for the best and always trying to improve as you go along, and yet you have to learn to, and it comes with time, I guess, in doing it. You have to learn to cut yourself some slack and breathe, so that way there you can freshly take on other roles, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Anna Taylor Joy was mentioning this in an interview once. She was like, I absolutely can't stand watching it, because it feels like so much part of you when you're doing it. And then, like I said, it's not really yours anymore. And you just kind of have to learn to let it go.
Exactly. That's let it go, let it go. Let's see, where have we heard that before?
Right?
Little Dina Menzel.
Yeah, Frozen had it right.
Yeah, I tell you. So many incredible things that you've had an opportunity to, be in, which I think is great. Some of the now This is fascinating. You mentioned, we're talking about accents and having fun with the accents, and you really knocked it out of the park with the Southern U.S. accent. Um, you're an accent coach, coaching other actors, including people like Kristen Chenoweth and John Voight, and others. How cool is that?
It's really fun. I feel very fortunate to be able to have something else in my life that isn't just acting, because as I love acting, but to be fully immersed in it all the time, there's a lot of pressure in the industry, to succeed, to book, whatever it is. And it's really nice to have something that I feel like I have an expertise through my training, through my personal sort of work on it afterwards, that especially here in Vancouver is something that I can offer the industry here that perhaps would be missing if I wasn't here, which feels really nice. And being able to offer, because I'm British, like British, accents, or the British Isles, some European accents, things like that. It's a really, really nice extra thing that I get to do in the industry and meet amazing people and things like that. So yeah, I really like it.
That is really, really cool. And to be working with so many incredible people as you do. Some other really cool things that I think is worth noting during the course of your incredible resume and your career is The Flash, as you mentioned. One of that roles you're most proud of is the guest star role as the quirky and socially awkward Inspector Jane in, and people may remember, of course, the CW series, know the CW series and love The Flash. When you got the call that they were casting you in The Flash, which again is great exposure as well, sort of takes things to another level. Were you doing a happy dance?
Yeah, I was. And also I obviously, like I said, it's kind of a smaller pool in Vancouver. I know a lot of people that have had the pleasure of working with Grant before I did. And he is just such a humble, delightful, dedicated number one, and it makes such a massive difference to the show. And he was so sweet and so kind and so welcoming. And I was really excited not only to take on Inspector Jane, but also just to go and hang out on that set with those people, because a good number one trickles all the way down, and you could tell everyone just really enjoyed working on that show, and the leads were lovely. And it's really nice when you get to walk on a set like that, which is not always the case.
Not always the case. There's some other ladders and things you have to do first. I mentioned Hallmark, which everybody loves as well. And you mentioned having an opportunity to be in some Hallmark projects and television series, Chesapeake Shores, which of course is well known, where you played Peggy Lucas, and also the Hallmark movie Legend of the Lost Locket. For all of our Hallmark Channel and Hallmark movie fans out there who watch our show regularly and watching live now, or will watch this in the archives, she played Rebecca. And I think that's really cool. So you've had an opportunity to do several. Brahms, the boy second alongside Katie Holmes, working with Katie Holmes as well. And that's really cool. And with Paramount Pictures, Star Trek Beyond on Lifetime, Harry and Meghan Becoming Royal, the Netflix series Travelers, alongside with Eric McCormack. People remember Eric McCormack, of course, a great actor. Mary Jane Constantine from DC Legends of Tomorrow, and more. Very, very cool stuff, huh?
Yeah, I honestly, the Star Trek Beyond one is like still kind of a dream, because I'm a bit of a Trekkie when I was growing up, and that one was pretty early on when I arrived here, and I was auditioning for stuff, but for some reason that wasn't something that I'd managed to get an audition for or be considered for. So because I'm such a Trekkie, I decided that I wanted to try and get on that set no matter what. So I actually applied to a background agency right at that time. And it was known as Washington at the time. That was the code name. And a few days after, they were like, "Oh, we have something for Washington. Are you interested?" And I was like, yes, I am. And then I went on set, and while I was there, there was 7 of us in the control tower as background, and they auditioned on the spot for an actor role to come in and say this like important line that's sort of changes the whole movie, which is really exciting. So 7 of us auditioned for it, and they picked me, and then they took me away to hair and makeup, and then I put the uniform on, and they pinned the badge on me, and I was very excited.
When they pinned the badge, you stood up a little bit. Your posture suddenly went like this, huh?
Yeah, I was really excited. And it's funny too, because while we were there, that when we first arrived, everybody got their like paperwork, but you weren't essentially given your like contract until you'd returned your badge, because they knew that, it was a hot commodity.
Absolutely right. In addition to all these major projects we're talking about, you also, which I think is really great, because there's so much of this work out there. And I too have had the luxury of being in some indie films, either playing, that one was actually playing myself, Jim Masters, television and radio personality and host, which was very cool. And
Yeah.
uh, so that was great, but other, roles too, the doctor, the friend next door, the boyfriend, whatever it may be. And you are very big in supporting indie films and very big into the indie film scene. And you've been in several short films as well. One Day, Corky Festival short that you wrote, directed, and produced and starred in. And then also My Name Is, a short film currently in post-production, in which you play Patricia, a recovering drug and alcohol addict with a troubled past. With One Day, what was it like writing, directing, producing, and starring in? I can relate, because with this series, that's pretty much what happens here.
Right. Yeah. Well, one word I would say would be stressful. But in regards to the acting, it almost removed the stress, because I just didn't have time to think about it. And it was only after, when I watched it, that I was like, oh yeah, that's good, because I had so many hats on that I was thinking about so many other things, that I was just saying words and saying what I'd written. And obviously I knew what I'd written, I knew where it was coming from, and I knew the soul behind the project, so it was easier that way. But producing, I also built props, I did my own wardrobe, we got like, it was a lot, but it was really fun. And it wasn't actually meant to happen. I was producing a short film for another director, and I had got location, I got sound, I got everybody on board. And then it turned out he wanted to push it for a week. So then I got in contact with everyone and pushed it for a week. And then he changed his mind and said he couldn't do it. So at that point I had my script, and I was like calling everyone, and I was like, hey, do you want to just make this one instead? And the film's called One Day. We did it in one day. Yeah, it's a cute little film that I'm really proud of. But yeah, it's a lot of work.
Do you like that part? Do you like the producing and writing and directing and being in it? Do you really crave the behind the scenes, or do you prefer being the performer, being on camera and doing your thing as an actress?
Yeah, I mean, acting is definitely my number one joy. I like producing. I think when I was helping this director, like I had never planned to be a producer. I had been in a short film of his before, with Gabrielle Rose, who's a fantastic actress here in Vancouver. And while I was doing that, I was just like, oh, I can ask this person for this, and I have a favor of this. And he's like, you're producing. And I was like, what? I was like, well, that's what producers do. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had a producer credit for that. And then the next time he was like, I need you to do that thing where you just ask for things and don't realize that normally people don't give them to people. And then for some reason people are like, sure. So
Right.
that's why he got me on board again for that. And then it just worked out really nicely for my little project.
That is so cool. It really is. Again, you've had this opportunity to do so many incredible things, and you've been described as an endearing and inviting contradiction of elegance and goofiness. That was obviously the elegance part, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that just comes from the accent.
I think it's a great combo. What? Oh, are you kidding me? Yes. I mean, as soon as people hear the accent, they automatically, sit up straight and they feel it's really amazing. It adds, it increases IQ scores. I mean, it's amazing what it does for people who hear it and appreciate it. It's just really amazing. To you, it's what you do. It's who you are.
Yeah.
It's funny. You feel Americans have accents?
Yes.
It's amazing. You can go all over and you hear all the different dialects, all the different accents, just and
Yeah, I think I hear the Canadian accent quite a lot when I'm here specifically, and I do a lot
yes.
of work with Canadian actors who are trying to sound more American, which is funny because I'm British.
So
But
they're coming to you to try to.
yeah, because I've learnt the American sound as opposed to just grew up with the Canadian one, which is a lot of the actors here. So they come to me to just adjust a few little things that producers probably in the American networks would be like, they sound too Canadian.
They sound too Canadian. So give us a little of the Canadian.
Well, the main sounds is the O and the ow sound. So like sorry, tomorrow,
Sorry, yeah,
tomorrow, all
yeah.
those kind of things. And instead of saying like so, they just say so. It's like
So,
missing the beginning part.
almost sounds a little Irish too, a little bit, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's kind of similar.
It's got a little bit of. I know they say Mazda, where we say Mazda here.
Like
Mazda, yeah.
Yeah.
Volvo. Have you been through a lot of Canada? I was on a TV shoot last year in Edmonton, which is really cool, quite far north. And matter of fact, when I was in Canada, when we were coming to Canada, everybody was, you have to have the poutine. You have to have the poutine. There's French fries with the cheese on.
What did you think of the poutine?
So we had it. We had it with the beer. They said they took us to a brewery after we were done filming the TV shoot in Edmonton. They took us. We went to City Hall. We went to CKUA, which is kind of like their national public radio almost. We went to the the beautiful Alberta Art Gallery. We were filming there. Then we went to City Hall, met the mayor. It was really cool. And then they took us out and we went to a brewery. So they sampled some of the beer as well as the poutine and other things. And it was good. Not something that your doctor would want you to have daily.
Well, especially they usually offer
You have to take a Lipitor pill after it.
Yeah, like pulled pork poutine or beef brisket poutine. And I was like, it's bad enough as it is. But then, with all that stuff on top, still very delicious. But yeah, you definitely don't want too many of those in a week.
Is Natalie Moon a foodie?
Very much.
Yeah.
Yes. Very, very.
Do you cook? Do you like to cook?
I do. I really like to cook. I don't.
What's your specialty?
Not baking. I'm really like my friend Bruno.
If you tell me Yorkshire pudding.
My friend Bruno, who he works as a judge on the Canadian Bake Off. I think he always wants to encourage me to bake because he gives me his cookbooks, and I'm so excited to try, but I'm so scared because it's so specific baking. Like, every little measurement counts, whereas I like to be a bit more free. So I'm much more like I cook more than I bake. But I do like cooking. I guess one of my specialities is a cranberry glazed bacon wrapped pork tenderloin. It's awful. You wouldn't like it, Jim.
And the Irish part of me says, and with mashed potatoes on the side.
Yeah, mashed potato, bourbon, honey glazed carrots, broccoli, and usually either gravy or some kind of like jus with it.
Did you just sneeze? how come we're not in Vancouver doing this when we should be having that as a snack?
I should have come to you.
Well, I was going to say that is really, yeah, you get good pizza and all kinds of stuff, clam chowder. That is great. So you love to cook. What are some things you do like to do away from the glitz, glamour, the lights, camera, action? How do you stay balanced and stay refreshed? And we all definitely all have to, even this fast-paced world we're in, we really should and do it more. Unplug, reboot, don't do anything that has to do with what the passion or career is. Do something completely different, whether it's nature, visiting family, some other hobby. It's very important for the mind, body, spirit, the soul. It's a cleansing, a balancing. Do you get time to do that? And what are some of the things you do to balance and come down from the highs of all of
Yeah, I do have a few things that I dabble in. After I was recovering from something, I was out of the acting game for a few months, and I started watercolor painting. I don't know if I'm very good at it, but it really is an amazing way to switch off, and time goes so quickly when I'm painting, and my brain is fully focused on that other stuff that can stress you out, cause anxiety, be traumatic, takes a back seat, and it's really nice, and it's really relaxing. And then I also have a little dog called Ozzy. So I like to take him on walks and to the beach and buy him lots of little clothes that he wears. But I'm not putting bows on his hair or anything. He doesn't really have any fur. He's a very short-haired Chihuahua cross miniature pincer.
He's a little more understated. Yeah.
Yeah. The occasional cool hoodie. And he has a little hoodie that says security on the back, because he's my security. So
this is your secure, absolutely, right?
Yeah, take him everywhere. He makes sure everybody behaves. So I do that, and then I also dabble a little bit in making jewelry. Yeah, just a little bit.
What kind?
Just the resin jewelry. So I've made a few, mostly earrings, to be honest. I have a bit of an earring obsession, so I make my own sometimes.
You didn't make the ones you're wearing now, did you?
No, but something very similar I have, yes.
Now, is this something where you hope to make that available with a line?
Not really. I give it to my friends as gifts sometimes, and then I was just making my own for something to do, like you said, to kind of be very much a different thing to do, and it's still creative.
Well, you know how when you buy a piece of jewelry for somebody and they just absolutely love it, and you give them something that really means a lot, and it's an expression of your caring and your love for that person. I think if you had a jewelry line, I love you to the moon and back.
Oh, there we go.
See?
That's pretty good.
I love you to the moon and back.
I like that. That's
that would be cool.
An earring line specifically, because I'm obsessed with earrings. So.
Right, yeah.
So
yeah. So you really have something exciting that we've been teasing it, in our promos promoting this episode. It's under wraps until now. Here on the Jim Masters Show, live worldwide, a big announcement, immediate release. You are very thrilled, and I'm so happy for you that you are sharing your guest role this season as Lex Luthor's ex-wife in the iconic DC comic book character Erica Del Portenza on the CW hit series Superman and Lois.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Talk about To the Moon and Back. Tell us about that and how that happened.
Yeah, it's, again, this is kind of one of those things that I think I was very fortunate to have my British accent at my disposal, because in the comic books, Erica is Italian, but the CW wanted British for the show, and I'm also the mother of in the episode that we're talking about, Elizabeth Henstridge, who's actually the director, also plays my grown-up daughter. And we look very similar as well. So I think there was like, you know, lots of things that worked out really well in my favor when I was offered the role. And it was really fun. And she's been through so much as a character. And it's some really emotional, like sad times for her, where she's kind of she's had enough. And she's standing her ground, which is kind of exciting as well, because she is probably one of the only people in the multi-universes that feels like she can stand up to Lex. So that was really fun to play, and to work with Michael, who is, you know, so generous, and has such a powerful, explosive presence. And is such a great actor. So it was really, really awesome to work with him. And he was such a generous partner. And it was really, really fun. And again, really something that when I was younger, I loved Superman.
Look at this shot here.
Yeah, I loved Superman. And I loved Batman, Spider-Man, Superman when I was younger. I was
all of it. Yeah.
And
tell us about this. Yeah. Tell us about this shot here.
Yeah, so this was I think this was just as we were sort of wrapping up. Obviously he's wearing his wig because all of my parts are all in the past, because I'm playing his ex-wife, and then our daughter decides to stay with him instead of with me. So it's, you know, it's sad, it's beautiful. It was really fun. And yeah, he was really sweet, and Elizabeth was incredibly collaborative and generous director as well. So it was really lovely to work with her.
That is so cool. We did a little digging for some other kinds of treats. Look at this shot.
That's a great shot.
You were in deep thought.
Yes, indeed.
Now, what are we going to talk about on the Jim Masters show? I wonder. Should I do the British accent, the Southern accent? Maybe I'll do Cockney.
It's hilarious.
What was this from?
This was from Space Force, actually.
This is, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. You remember the scene? What was happening?
I'm an interviewer, interviewer,
presenter,
and I'm interviewing one of the astronauts that came back from the moon, but she is she has someone in her ear telling her everything that she's supposed to be saying, but it's all going wrong. And it was really fun.
IFB, the director talks in the ear with an IFB telling them what to say exactly. Sometimes it's not right information. And
she's mishearing all the time, so it's all coming out as gobbledygook. And I'm just like, what is happening? I'm trying to keep the interview on track. And it was really fun because it was a lot of improvisation and very different from the script. And I just had to go with it. And it was, I love that kind of stuff. So it was really fun.
Look at this shot. I like the way you laugh when you see the photos.
Well, she doesn't look like she's going to be messed with, which is great.
and this is from?
This is from Superman and Lois. This is Erica.
That is fantastic, huh?
Yeah, that's me.
What a great, a terrific. Yeah, you're really focused there. Like you say, not to be messed with. Exactly. That is really fantastic. And here's another one we dug up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is Inspector Jane from The Flash, the one that I was talking about, where she's very, very intelligent, but that's sort of as far as it goes in regards to social skills. So yeah, I'm very put out by the fact that someone's accusing me of something in this, and then I put him in his place.
Well, so that's from The Flash. That's cool. When you are getting prepared for a role, any of these roles with these different characters, these different storylines and settings, how do you prepare? What are some of the things that you do? Do you have a ritual? Some people, I have a friend that's an opera singer, and she won't drink milk of course, I don't either. Before I go on the air, they tell you, no, don't do any dairy or milk because
Mhm.
that, can get, it can clog the plumbing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But she won't go out into any cold weather a day or two before she has a performance because the cold can sort of constrict her vocal cords and things like that. What are some of the things you do to prepare for all of these different roles and characters that you play?
Um, I would say one of the biggest things is to drink so much water, which sounds ridiculous, but it's really good for the voice, but also especially for some of the more demanding emotional roles, if you're crying a lot, you essentially just need liquid, because you're dehydrating yourself all the time, and with all the other stuff that you're dealing with, the emotions and things like that, it can be something that you just forget about. So prior to, because the liquid here's a fun fact: the liquid that you consume the day before actually affects the next day. So whenever before I'm on set, the day before, I'll be consuming tons and tons of water. I'm fascinated with the voice, and I've worked. Exactly. Perfect. You're going to be so
Did you mention water? So when I go to bed tonight, I'll sleep soundly, but
Mhm.
tomorrow morning, it'll kick in.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Look at the size of my smart water. This is cool. This is alkaline water, which is really good for you. Alkaline. Yeah.
Mhm.
Cheers. If you have anything, folks, toast with us.
Yeah, please.
Mm.
A gin and
So
tonic.
you drink a lot of water, huh? You do?
I do. I drink a lot of water.
That's really
And
good to do. It's good for
growing
your
up, I
skin too.
I definitely didn't growing up. I was really
Oh,
bad
me
at
neither. Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah. But it's
and
good
I
for your skin too.
it is very good for your skin. It does. Yeah, it's good for everything. So yeah, I do that. I do voice exercises, and especially as quite often my characters are very articulate, well spoken. Just any kind of exercise to warm up my voice and instrument. I'll do that in the days before, and certainly on set prior. And then in regards to the character itself, um, I like to really go back into their life and figure out their background if it hasn't been. I mean, obviously some things are told to you, but I like to fill in the gaps. And I also like to fill in the gaps with experiences in my life, so that if there's a moment where my character's thinking of something, it's something that has happened to me, but it's something that I've now connected to Erica or Jane or something like that. So that's something that I spend a lot of time on, and I really enjoy the theory side of performing and acting. So I like doing all that.
Now that episode just aired. Break the Cycle aired, just a week or so ago, and it's exciting. Have you been getting feedback in reference to it?
I have, yeah. Everybody's been really sweet and really generous, and mostly talked about how she feels powerful, which was important to me, because like I said, I'm with Michael and Lex being such a powerful character. I really wanted to try and um, for her to stand on her own, and I think I achieved that, which I was really happy with.
Now, what happens from there? Is it does it continue? Is there more happening, or is that to be determined? Or
It's to be determined. Yes, I guess we'll see. We'll see.
that would be great, huh?
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah.
So, what are some other things you're excited about too? That we listed some others that are sort of in production or under wraps coming out soon. What are some other things you're very excited about too?
Well, talking about theatre, I have actually written a one-woman show, and I know lots of people will roll their eyes at that, because some of them, they're not all great. But I've written a one-woman show based on an experience that I went through, and I plan next year to produce that and get it up in Vancouver. And it's very personal to me. So it's, again, nice to be able to use my life, and it's cathartic, and to share part of yourself with people that, you know, people might not know about you or might not see from the way you are. And it's sort of gives a little insight into who I am and why I am, and hopefully part of my strength. So that's the next thing that's on my to-do list.
To be able to turn the camera on you and the story about you, is that something that came easy, or was there some inner resistance? Did you at first say, maybe I shouldn't share all this, or maybe people won't be interested, or maybe this is something I should keep in my house and that's it, I don't need to share any of this? Was there an internal struggle to finally do it and create it as you were creating it?
I think that my life has I've had an interesting life for my years, and the experience that I'm referencing in the play, I'd had so many people tell me, you need to write about this, you need to talk about this, blah blah blah, and I was always like, but am I that interesting, blah blah blah. But I do think the play that it's an exploration into psychological abuse, and I think it's a really important story that needs to be told for a lot of women, not only to give hope, but also to say that you are not alone, and this happens to a lot of people. So I think it's an important story to tell in that way, and that's the thing that gave me the kick up the bum that I needed.
You know, it is. And there's a lot of people that will identify and relate to and connect with it through you telling your story in the way that you will be. And, you know, kudos to you. I always think it's great when people share experiences about themselves through art, through creativity. Some people do it through music, through song, whatever it may be, through painting. And it's an expression of who they are, but to do it in a way where it's cathartic, sort of therapeutic for you. It's liberating in a way. The weight on the shoulders are lifted a little bit and then what'll happen is you will have people who will come up to you and say, thanks so much for doing this. Thanks so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for creating this, because I haven't been able to share. I didn't know what to do and how to deal with whatever it may be. But because I see somebody like you that's on television and film and things of that nature, and you're opening up about your own story, I think I'm ready to help go through the trauma and work through it. So it's a twofold thing. It's a art, and it's a show, it's a play. There's the artistic side of it all, but there's a story that is very impactful, inspiring, and empowering at the same time, right?
Yeah, I think so. And that really was helping other people that are going through similar experiences is the real reason that I want to do it. And obviously, like you said, it's cathartic and it's a weight lifted, and just the process of I will be producing it probably as well as having written it. It'll be an interesting challenge as well. And I love theatre, and I've never thought of doing a one-woman show before. And the idea just kind of came to me, and I went with it. And it really didn't take very long to write the script, which is amazing because writing is really hard. So I was quite lucky that way, and it felt like it needed to come out. And I feel like now it needs to be shared as well. So.
Do you have a target date for that? Or are you just going along with creating it, and when it's ready, it's ready?
Yeah, I've just been so busy that it's sort of taken a little bit of a back seat. But I would hope by the end of next year that it will have been mounted somewhere, whether it's workshopped to start with, I'm not sure, but that's the plan. It's set in an immersive escape room, and the audience play the escape room with me. So there's a lot of moving parts that I need to figure out.
So the audience will be interacting in their own way, sort of. And it's
Yes,
an interactive
with the end of
experience.
with the set. Yeah.
Wow, that is cool. That is that is great. Wow. Have you had opportunities to travel the world through your work as well, or is that something you'd like to do?
I've traveled a little bit around Canada, and obviously I've sort of got a home base in the UK, so I've done some things over there. But I haven't had to fully travel, I would say, overseas for a project, and I would love to. That would be, I think that's always it's always so interesting to be able to explore another country, whether you're working or not, and sort of such a blessing if you can do it at the same time as doing a job that you love as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I also considering the idea of not moving back to the UK, but certainly spending a bit more time there and doing some projects out there and seeing what happens. I was actually there, landed the week before COVID to start working there, and then the entire industry closed. So
Mhm.
it was a bit of a disappointing time, but that is the plan. I do love some of the projects that come out of the UK. I find them it's so incredible. Like the show Slow Horses, I would just adore to be part of that. And the idea of actually, even when I was younger, the idea one of my dream roles would be an espionage. Movie. I would love to do that, to be able to use my accents and also like take on different characters, or something like Villanelle from Killing Eve. Just a very, I mean, she's very messed up, but it's such a fun character to play. So something like a spy or something like that would be really fun.
You travel back for the holidays to see family that's
I
there?
am, yeah. I'm going back to England to be with my mum over the holidays. I lost my dad just over 2 years ago,
Hmm.
so we
Sorry to
always
hear
like to
that.
visit each other at Christmas.
He's with us in spirit. He's with us in spirit.
He
What was
is.
his first name?
Steve.
Stephen is here. They're proud, and I'm sure your mother's very proud, huh?
Yeah.
She probably really misses. She misses her daughter.
She's really the only person who's I mean, obviously you care about people's opinions, but really it's when I send it to my mother and she's like telling me all the things that she appreciates about it and she's proud of, and that's the most important thing to me. And it is really hard with her being in a different country, like you say. So it's nice to make her proud. And especially as when I was growing up, I know I was very lucky that both my parents were very supportive about the fact that I wanted to be in the arts, because I guess I didn't really give her much choice from the age of 5. But that doesn't happen often. So I really want to show that she made the right choice by supporting me.
Why do you love this so much? Obviously, you're very passionate about it. I mean, you moved from England to Canada to pursue it and have America right next door at your disposal. Uh, what are some of the things that, bring you great blessing and joy about this work?
I think for the longest time, when someone asked me, why do you want to be an actor? I was, the classic, I love storytelling. I like to be a part of someone's character, and all of those things are true. But it wasn't until I was older that I realized that I think the real reason that I wanted to do this, even at such an early age, was because in the UK, especially, it's quite, emotions are very buttoned up. You've got a stiff upper lip, everything is fine, nobody really causes a scene. And I think you're given permission to feel as an actor, and it's encouraged. And I think even when I was younger, that's something I really wanted, and something that I struggled to do when I was younger as Natalie. So being able to step into a character's shoes who is going through something and is allowed to, in that moment, really feel and be, and it's encouraged. And usually the most interesting characters, the day of that moment that they're going through, is one of the worst or best or of their whole lives. And to be able to step into something so emotional and so driven and cathartic, I think was part of the reason why, and still is the reason why, I love this so much. And I never want to do anything else.
You heard it here first. Although you're teaching and mentoring, and there is that other aspect where you're paying it forward in the way that you are, which is such a beautiful thing. And obviously, it's coming full circle for you, Natalie. This was a great conversation, and that's what we do here at the show. We do conversations, free
Mhm.
flowing, warm, sort of old school with a modern twist, as opposed to just a typical interview: question, question, answer, answer. Okay, tell us about the
Yeah,
movie, and see you later. Real good conversation. I think people get a good feeling for your background, your passion, why you do what you do. And when they see you, hear you in things, they'll have a good understanding of why you do it and appreciate your expertise even more. A real pleasure, Natalie, having you here on the Jim Masters Show. And I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with
I did,
you.
and I really appreciate getting to know you as well. And that's cool that you have Yorkshire blood.
We sure do, right? Do you notice a little of that in me? Some people say that. My
The wanting of the Yorkshire pudding that gave it away.
Oh, you know what? I love when we go to a restaurant and there's all these exotic desserts. I look for the pudding. Sometimes I get exciting and I do custard.
Oh, custard. Oh, so many
You,
things with this.
you like custard?
Yeah,
I
custard
love
and the bacon and the British bacon. I miss
Uh,
bacon.
that sounds really well. That pork tenderloin that you talked about
Yeah.
with the mashed potatoes. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Congratulations on everything, Natalie. I want to
Thank
show
you.
there is your website as well, and of course you're on all social media, Instagram, and all. Folks can find her on the socials. It's a great website too. There's a lot of cool things on there and other photos and clips. And I hope you'll spread the word about our show and you'll come
Definitely.
back and
Yeah.
see us again. And this will be archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, in case anybody joined us late or they want to come see us again.
And my
And see
mom is in the UK right now, so she'll be watching it tomorrow.
what's her first name?
Jan.
Janet. Love to you from Mr. Masters or Masters, right? Masters.
Masters, yes.
Masters. I
James
have,
Masters.
yeah, exactly. The fifth. But of course, right? And it's really funny. People think I made that name up, because I use Jim for on air and everything. Jim. They're like, that's not your name. You're not Jim Masters. That's too. You picked that out of a book. That's that's not your. I'm like, why would I change it?
Yeah, no one thinks Moon is my real last name either, and it is.
It's cool, huh? Masters and Moon. We can go on the road together.
Yeah, there we go.
Moon Masters. Some of our viewers just wanted to say thanks for being here. Awesome. Love your accent. You're lovely.
Aw,
Good luck.
thank
Everything.
you,
Take
Kathleen.
care.
That's so nice of
Kathleen is
you.
in New York City and Jane's in Sweden. Thanks, Natalie, for being here. Good luck
Thank
with your
you,
future work, what you're doing. Thanks, Jim. And she's watching Late Night right now in
Ah.
Sweden.
Oh,
Yes.
wow, yes.
In Sweden. Home of the Volvos.
Yeah.
You're a delight. Really cool to have you here, my friend. Come by and see us again. Spread the word about our show.
I
And
will.
truly, I hope you had a good time with me because I sure have with you, Natalie.
I did. It was brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
You be well. You take care. And yeah, I love the word brilliant. That is a perfect way to put it. Sherry slips in here in Kansas, USA. Thank you for being here tonight. Best of luck. All you do in the future.
Thank you, Sherry.
Lots of levity from our viewers. Thank you very much, Natalie, and congratulations again on everything. And we will keep the porch light on for you, as I always say. You are welcome back here at the Jim Master Show anytime.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
All right. Cheers. You be well. Cheers. All right. Natalie Moon joining us here on the show. How cool was that? What a great conversation. She is really fantastic. Oh, yeah. I want to show you that coming up. Zara Phillips is going to be with us as well. Tell you more about that. That is very exciting. And also a little update here on some of the folks that are coming on and some folks that have been with us. Did you see the epic Quincy Jones tribute special we did with celebrity friends and guests recently, yesterday? Melba Moore, Melissa Manchester, Monica Mancini, and so many others were a part of this epic show as we celebrated this music icon who we lost just this past week at the age of 91. He worked with Frank Sinatra, Michael Jackson, and Aretha Franklin, and so many others. If you didn't see that episode, check that out. And we thank our very special guest, Natalie, here on the show. And she was really terrific, wasn't she? And she does so much. She's so involved in so many incredible things. What I really love is she gives back. You know, she teaches others. She's inspiring others and mentoring others. And of course, you can never go wrong with that fabulous British accent. Look for her here, there, and everywhere as she's coming to TV near you. And she's done, again, Hallmark. I know many of you love Hallmark as well. And a lot on CW, The Flash and Superman and Lois and many other projects. So look for all of that. Natalie Moon here on the Jim Masters Show. This is your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time till next time. If you enjoyed this episode, well, we would love to hear from you. Leave a comment. Drop a comment below in the comments section. That would be cool. And also give this episode a thumbs up like. There's a thumbs up icon right on the YouTube channel. Give it a like. Share it on your social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which that's what you're watching right now, the YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV. The show is the Jim Masters Show, the channel Jim Masters TV. Subscribe, click the subscribe button. Doesn't cost anything. Click that notification bell so you never miss any of our fabulous, fabulous episodes. And we welcome everybody who's new. Had a lot of new people watching and commenting and liking and subscribing and all the rest. Welcome to all new viewers. And of course, all of our regular favorites here as well. The Lovely Squad. All right, for all of us here, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time till next time. We love having you here. We love seeing all the comments, and we love your passion for what we're doing here. Don't forget to love one another, take care of one another. And as we always say, make sure you do that for yourself. It's so important to do that. Jim Masters here saying, be well, take care, cheers, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Jim Masters Show. Thanks for joining us.